Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. It's been a busy week work-wise away from the farm this week, so I haven't really done too much around here. Had much longer work days, and there's been a few events at work which has made things a little bit hectic. So when I do get home, I have less energy and also less daylight. So there's not a lot really to report, except that we have had quite a bit of rain, drizzle over long periods of time overnight as well, which has been nice. Still not making a huge impact on dams, of course, but it does feel like the ground might be starting to hold a little bit of moisture and not just turn back to a dust bowl straight away. So hopefully we've turned the corner on some drought. So things are growing slowly, and fingers crossed that continues over the next couple of months. One of the jobs that I think I'm going to need to do today is to tidy up the rest of this shed space. You can see I've got a display thing back here. There's bits on the table here. I've kind of got things all over the place. I am deep in market prep, which I'll talk about soon, but it's getting to the point where basically every empty surface is not empty anymore and it's covered with stuff. So I probably need to take a little bit of time just so that I can get my head a bit more focused and clear and make sure that I'm following some processes to get everything else done. Adam, my brother-in-law, sometimes comes over here when he's got his working from home days and will work out of the shed. And so he has had a little tidy up in this little section here. So stack the wood really nicely for me, vacuumed this part of the floor, cleaned up the mess from where he had done all of the honey stuff. So it's kind of now this little piece here is really lovely and the rest is a bit rubbish. So I probably need to get that done just so that it all matches and also so that I can be a bit more productive in my work. So I've got the fire going here this morning, which will be really lovely. And my plan is to spend the day over here. This past week, I dyed another batch of I Dream to Riot, which I will show you shortly in my knitting projects, which is one of the colourways that I will be debuting at the Melbourne Fibre Fest, previously the Victorian Hand Knitters and Crocheters Guild market at the Coburg Town Hall. That is going to be on the 14th and 15th of June. So I have created this collection around songs that I've been listening to here in the Dye Studio, and I'm calling it the Songs from the Studio or Songs from the Dye Studio Dream Edition, because all of the song lyrics that I had been hearing, the things that were triggering in my mind as I was working on dyeing some yarn, had dreams in them, which is odd that that's what I was picking up on. So I've shown you Dream to Riot. My next colorway that I shared on Instagram this week is called And Now Your Dream Is Real, and it's a line from the Dire Straits song Romeo and Juliet, which for me reminds me of the movie Empire Records, and so that's kind of where I got my inspiration for the colours. And that is it here. And then my latest colorway is this one, which is And I Wondered What You Were Dreaming. And that is from the song Rest Stop by Matchbox 20. So it's sort of like bright colors, but with a black wash over all of it. So I think I'm happy with all of them now. So there are 5 in total, and I've got a couple more that I can still share with you in the next couple of weeks leading up to the market. And I am now going to be pairing those with the solid colors that I have created that are sort of about dream states and how you feel in dreams. And then, so I've been also working on how to package these up. I had tried twisting them together with so the main skein and then the 50-gram skein together, but it kind of muddies the colors a little bit. It makes it hard to see, and if it's on a display, it's actually unclear as to what you're getting when you buy the yarn. So I'm now creating belly bands for the yarn. So just a strip of card with my logo on it, and then it will wrap around the main skein and the contrast, and then I'll put a sticker on the back that has all of the yarn details. Because normally what I do is I have swing tags that go on each of my skeins, but then there's no way to actually keep the two together. So I have been playing around with this idea as well. And a lot of people do use these for their yarn, but I do prefer to use a swing tag on mine. And each of these sets, so that'll be a 100-gram skein, a 50-gram skein. It will also have a matching stitch marker in a similar color to the contrast, as much as I could possibly match. So that's what's in the works and working on at the moment in preparation for the Melbourne Fibre Fest. There'll still be a few more reveals in the next couple of weeks leading up, and then it will be here before we know it. It's only a few weeks away. First to what I am wearing this week. As you can see, I am wearing my finished male Clad vest, which is a test knit for Tess from Fluff and Nonsense. So I finished it at the start of this week. I've blocked it to size, and it is now dry and I can wear it. It is really comfortable. I'm so happy. So I followed the pattern 100%. I didn't add any extra length. I didn't add any extra length at like the bottom either. I did realize though, after I was doing the ribbing around the arms and the neck, that I did actually screw up the ribbing on the bottom. I did some slip stitches all the way around rather than just knit here. So that's fine. It's my own special design feature. It is knit out of Fluff and Nonsense SRS Merino 5-ply yarn in the Orange Spice colorway. I'm not going to stand up because I have really dodgy tracksuit pants on, and it's quite high waisted on me. I have to try it with like some nicer flat pants, not with tracksuit pants, and see if I'm comfortable with the length. I would probably, if I was doing it for myself and not as a test knit, I probably would have added a little more length in the body. But apart from that, it is a really fabulous fit. It's like not tight around the arms, but it's nice and high. For me, the neck opening is great. So my chest is here and the neck opening is up here, and it's not really wide and gapey around the back of my neck or around the front. So it sits really lovely, and it provides that nice little insulation layer, but with a little bit of interest. And got a split hem, which I think partly what makes me feel a little bit self-conscious. It sort of flares out a little bit, which I'm not used to. I've never done a split hem before, so I wasn't sure how it's supposed to look. So I said I need to kind of wear it with my proper pants for a bit and see if I would add a little more length for myself. But I'm super happy with this version, and I would definitely be wearing it. And now I'm thinking about what I could knit another one in. I'm going to have to buy myself some more 5-ply yarn because I don't have any in my stash. So that could be my little project for myself for the Melbourne Fibre Fest, to find some more 5-ply to make another one. So I'll keep you updated when the pattern is going to come out. It is still in testing. I now need to do a final measure and weigh my yarn and fill out the survey, and then I can watch as everyone else finishes theirs and look at all the different amazing versions that are going to come out. So look for that, and when the pattern is available, I will make sure to provide a link so that you can find it. This week we did something creative that was not knitting, which was kind of fun. It was my sister's birthday on Wednesday, and the weekend before that we got together as a family and we did a craft activity. We took an alcohol ink class, something I hadn't done before. I've done acrylic painting and I've done tie-dye and obviously all of sort of the fiber crafty kind of things. It was just a really small workshop just for us, and she went through how to do it all. There's a lot of different techniques. We're able to use different papers and basically all the colors of the rainbow and all these pearlescent ones and everything. And what you do is you use alcohol on your page, and then you add this ink, and then you build and layer it, and as you add more alcohol, it kind of changes and moves the ink around. And you can do it with splotches. You can use like little air compressors to move it. You can dry it with a hairdryer. You can use paint brushes. So it's a really sort of freeform kind of art. I guess you could be a bit more purposeful and make pictures if you wanted to, but I was more doing very abstract dots and splotches and things like that. So it was a lot of fun. I think to do it at home, you probably, because you wouldn't have the range of colors that you'd be able to have at a workshop, you'd have to be very specific with what you're wanting to do and gradually build up your stash of colors, because I think otherwise it'd be a very big investment as a craft. But something that I really did enjoy doing. So we weren't able to bring home the pictures. I mean, we could have, but the lady was going to seal them for us because they're kind of active until they're sealed. Like if any water or alcohol or like hairspray or anything gets onto those images while before they've been sealed, then it'll like sort of start running again. So it's sort of so you could continually change and update the picture. But so we're getting them sealed, and then Debbie's going to choose the ones that she likes the best, and she's going to frame them, which will be really lovely, a little memento from her birthday. Oh, and I also gifted her jumper, which she was finally able to try on, which was really exciting. I made that based on the True Stripes pattern from the 52 weeks of Easy Knits, and then modified it to knit the sleeves in the round from the top down. And I didn't do any decreases on the sleeves and just made them sort of more open at the end with bits of fluff through it. And she was super happy with the fit and excited to show it off. So I'm really glad that finally she was able to see the finished product. All right, now to my own knitting. I haven't done a lot this week. After I finished this, I got busy with work, so I haven't done a stack. I worked on the shawl that I showed you last week, which is the shawl that I'm making up myself out of my I Dream to Riot colorway, and one of the contrast colors, Ethereal. So that's how they look together. Ooh, I keep doing the wrong thing. Like that. And I didn't get a ton of progress done, but I did do quite a bit of knitting, if that makes sense. So here is the shawl so far. So it just starts at this end, and I'm doing 2 increases on one side and 1 decrease on the other side to create a triangular shawl, and it'll just gradually get bigger and bigger. Sorry, I'm clinking here. And then at the end, I'll just be able to bind off and be able to use, hopefully, all of both balls of yarn. That's my aim. So I'm just making this up as I go along. So I've done some stripes of the Ethereal through here. And then this is where I spent most of my knitting time this past week. So I wanted to add a ruffle. And so I think this was my 4th attempt at getting the ruffle the way I wanted it before I moved on with the rest of the shawl. You can see I've now added in an eyelet row here, and now I'm going to continue in the I Dream to Riot for a bit longer until I feel like adding back in some Ethereal or changing the texture again. So I'll talk briefly about this ruffle. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't changing the fabric of the shawl behind it while still adding on a ruffle over the top. So in order to do that, I had to try a few different methods of increasing before I found one that worked. So first I just tried doing a knitting across on the first row and then purling back and doing a purl front and back on the wrong side. And I didn't like how that looked. It kind of didn't make the ruffle ruffly enough. So then I ripped that out. Then I tried going across, and as I was picking up the stitches, doing a make one left as I went along into the shawl itself, and that was too bunchy and like made the shawl fabric not right. So then what did I try next? Then I tried knitting front and back across the front, I think. And again, that wasn't right. Actually doing anything directly sort of on the fabric didn't quite work. So then what I did was I did a knit row, and then on the purl row, I did a purl one yarn over all the way along. So if I hold it up closely, you can see that there are actually eyelets along the bottom. So the increases are in the first row of this ruffle fabric, and they're not actually attached at all to the shawl. And I think that's made for, and I've done the ruffle in stockinette so that it rolls and curls and everything. So I was finally happy with that as the version for the ruffle. And I'll share some more details once I'm sort of done, if I kind of release this as a recipe or a pattern on how I did the ruffle. And I will be adding some more of those along. Not too many, because they are a little bit fussy and it does take a while to do, but I think it adds a nice, interesting texture and a nice chunk of color too to the shawl. So yeah, that's my progress on my coming out of my head as I knit shawl. And the final thing I'm working on is a pair of socks for my dad. It's his birthday coming up soon, and we're having a chat about how I had absolutely no idea what to get him for his birthday. And he said, oh, my mum had actually said that she would like a pair of socks. And I was like, sure, Mum, I can get you a pair of socks, no problem. I said, Dad, do you want a pair of socks too? And he's like, yeah. So he kind of likes the warm, fuzzy ones. He doesn't sort of wear them inside his shoes. He'll wear them when he's like sitting on the couch at home. So I found that I had scraps of 3 different colors of Zealana sock yarn, the Zealana Cozi. There. So I've got this yellow color, which is called custard. And so I've got 2 equal balls of that. And I've got 2 equal balls of this color that I don't have a tag for, which I used on the toes. And I had one sort of larger ball of this multicolored one. So what I'm doing obviously doing 2 at a time. And I have now just pulled from both ends of this ball, and I'll just use it until I completely run out. I will use probably the blue again for the heel, and then I might just, depending on how much of this, how far this goes, I'll either add in just some of the yellow or maybe stripe in the blue and yellow and kind of just use all of it and make sort of a scrappy Zealana Cozi sock for my dad. And so doing them 2 at a time, I don't have to worry about remembering what I did that on one to match the other. I can just do the same on each as I go, and I can make sure that I use all the yarn. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.